Welcome to From This Land, Episode 4, a podcast series looking for signs of development impact. I'm Phil Johnstone, visiting 4 New Zealand-supported projects in Vietnam and Cambodia, with scientist and aid expert Susie Newman and photographer Wara Bulow. We're colleagues at Plant and Food Research, here to create the From This Land exhibition. We're in South Cambodia for the last few days of this trip, in the capital, Phnom Penh, and at remote farms further south. Another colleague, Declan Graham, is here too, and I ask him for a beginner's guide to the Cambodia Quality Hort project.
One of the issues in Cambodia is the low income that farmers have. And largely this is due to the dependence many farmers have on the wet market, the low-paying wet market. Our project is focused on working with commercial enterprises to satisfy the increasing demand for safely produced food.
My name is Elliot Curtin. I'm First Secretary Development at New Zealand Embassy in Bangkok.
So Elliot, what is the New Zealand government's big goal for its development work here in Cambodia?
Very much about improving livelihoods. We look to build resilience to economic shocks, to climate change, and build the capability of people to lead that development for Cambodia in the future.
So you get to come to Cambodia a bit as part of your responsibilities. What impact are you seeing as you move around?
I think we are seeing quite a young, youthful population, a population that is wanting change, is very entrepreneurial, is grabbing opportunities in sectors like agriculture, and very focused on growth, being entrepreneurial, and I think that comes out of most of the projects we're working in. Plant and food research expertise is very sought after in the region and in Cambodia. So Government of Cambodia often request technical expertise in areas such as research, pest and resilience, ability to access market chains, production of safe vegetables. So these are areas that aren't necessarily available locally, but Plant and Food are able to provide that expertise, but also build capability of local people to continue to implement and make those changes. We get to meet a lot of quite wonderful New Zealanders working internationally. I think we get great recognition of the support we give to Cambodia. And, we are talking a young population, still high levels of poverty, and we're able to bring something different, unique. And when you see the change, it is wonderful.
Another busy day collecting photos and stories on farms. Photographer Wara Bulow tells me how she builds connections with portrait subjects she's only just met and must communicate with via a translator.
So one of the things that is really helpful is for me to then a little bit relax myself and just getting to know them from a gentle perspective. Without rushing into the shoot straight away. In that way, they feel like they can trust me, and then we can work for some beautiful images together.
We're back in the capital, visiting Natural Garden, a business that produces, distributes and retails vegetables. Its customers include hotels, restaurants, supermarkets and caterers. The Quality Hort Project helps farmers earn more by selling to high-end retailers like this. Out the back, we see a washing table designed by international non-profit IDE. It cleans fresh vegetables and reduces the impact of pathogens and microbial parasites. Natural Garden founder Nick Tharin has a network of more than 400 contract farmers who sell to his chain and receive higher prices. The project helps his firm give technical assistance and in-kind help to its Khmer farmer producers. We train farmers so they have clarity about things like hygiene and sample testing, he tells me. Step by step, we are becoming more environmentally friendly.
My name is Amay Bansod, and I work here at the ID Innovation Lab as a design strategist. In today's world, there is a recognition that design is a tool for broader impact, socially, environmentally, in any sense of the word. And really, in my capacity of a design strategist, I don't only focus on designing incremental objects or products or services. My focus is more on making connections in the ecosystem and ensuring that the design fits within a broader system for ultimately a better positive impact.
Were you always going to be a designer?
I actually started off as an engineer, and going through the education system in India is enough to make anybody very disillusioned with what you learn and, on an overall level, the career path that you take. So I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. And as luck would have it, I had the opportunity to study design on a scholarship. And I said, okay, doesn't hurt to try it and see what happens. And really, it's been one of the most sort of eye-opening, life-changing experiences. And my journey within design itself has, had many twists and turns. But it's overall, it's been a really rewarding sort of a journey so far.
Have you always done your design in a development context?
Yes. In professional capacities, my work has explored issues of the developing world. Being from India myself, these were issues that I was used to seeing on a very personal level, even as I was growing up. And I knew at some point I wanted to do something to, to contribute to making some kind of a change happen. And really, when I moved into design, I saw that I had the ability to, through my work and through the design, to impact lives or to make a positive change in people's everyday lives.
So how has that played out with the plant and food research work you've been doing?
Right. So in the context of the vegetable washing station, and really that was the starting point for our relationship with the plant and food research, where we were trying to tackle a really key problem of ensuring food safe practices, not just at farms, but along the supply chain. And the core benefit of this product is that it eliminates, or it tries to reduce as much as possible, the introduction of pathogens and microbial parasites in the food and in the supply chain.
So that's gone from early prototypes through to now. How many of those washers are out there, and how do you feel about seeing that come to market?
Right. So I think there are about 4. And as interest grows in this product, this happens to be the only available solution for pack houses to be able to purchase something readily off the market that is both cost effective and also really positions them to take the next step, which is to become more compliant with the agricultural practices. And personally, for me, it's always great to see my work take a life of its own when it goes outside the lab or the office and is used by people on an everyday basis. That's a really, really kind of humbling but also rewarding aspect of this work. My advice to designers and in general, these days, I do see a lot of design students who have this sense of consciousness in terms of being socially inclined in their work, trying to reduce the impact of their design work on the environment, think sustainably. There is already a sort of growing consciousness in the design community about these kind of guiding principles. And my advice would be to just be more conscious about the impacts and the outcomes of that design, which might lead to further questions that could, spark some new ideas. In terms of my professional work, I see opportunities in, of course, applying the process and the mindsets of creative thinking, problem solving, and being collaborative. So these are basically the ethos of the design process, but I see these have a much greater impact in the coming years in the development space. And in terms of where the sector is headed, I think the themes of plastics, alternative renewable forms of energy, inclusion of marginalized, vulnerable communities, and better representing them and ensuring that they get an equal measure of benefit of the work that we do at ID and also other NGOs. I think these can be big programmatic focuses in the future, and there will be a need for innovative products or services or ideas within those themes as well.
Late afternoon. Time to check in with my colleagues. The busy schedule is starting to take its toll. How are you feeling, Moira?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better than 2.5 hours ago.
So you had a little moment?
I did have a little moment. It was really unexpected. Yeah, I felt all of a sudden really tired after being so happy. Had a really exciting morning, and then all of a sudden I was very tired. Yeah, and the storm came for a few minutes. Yeah.
Laura's taking portraits, and our videographer is doing some B-roll shots. And I've come over to a quiet corner where Susie is just taking a moment. Susie, you're sitting on a beanbag, and you don't really want me to talk to you, but you look a bit tired today.
Yeah, I've been pushing it a bit much.
So development work's quite tough, isn't it? It's sometimes early starts, late finishes, long hot days. What are some of your tricks to just keep your energy up when it's often quite tough?
I think it's just being aware of your limits and what you can and can't do, and also, there's some things that work to perk you up a bit. For me, it's coffee, and if I can't get coffee, then it'll be a Coca-Cola. But I think it's also just being realistic about what's doable and not doable. And I suppose, all of us have competing demands back in New Zealand that we also need to work on. So it's trying to keep across that as well as the work that we're doing in country. So
I've noticed every morning you emerge from your room to meet us, and you've got a coffee cup with you. So you bring coffee bean or ground coffee and make a coffee every morning?
Yeah, tend to. I love my coffee, so got to have it with me.
And you've been getting up an hour or two earlier sometimes before us to get online and have conference calls and do work?
Yeah, work doesn't stop back in New Zealand, so yeah, it's a matter of getting that done as well.
Just after 6 o'clock, peak hour traffic in Phnom Penh, and Rithia, our videographer today and tomorrow, pulled out his phone and used the equivalent of a Uber app for tuk-tuks. How much will this cost, Rithia?
It would cost 1,200 real per 100 meter, which is probably 30 cents, per 100 meter, something like that.
So it's a tidy little two-seater, quite a modern. You're saying this is an Indian model?
Yeah, it's an Indian model. It's an Indian brand though, and it was imported like 2-3 years ago.
And are these really popular? People prefer using an app to paying cash?
Yeah, it is, because you don't need to bargain. Sometimes the driver can ask you for more price if you don't use the app, so it's very convenient.
Most people seem to be riding bikes or scooters. Do you have a car or do you use a scooter?
I use a scooter. It's because here people, drive crazily sometimes, and mostly when it's rush hours, it tends to be super crowded. So driving a car, I cannot afford a car though, so you can get around faster.
So it's great that you're with us today and tomorrow. You're doing a brilliant job. But most of the time you're making and producing short films or documentaries?
I produce, all sorts of videos for clients, like corporate video, TV commercials, documentaries, and all of that. But I'm an artist as well, so I do short films, by my own. I do feature films. That's what we are doing now. That's what I'm doing with, working with other directors and producers, producing feature films for cinemas.
And what kind of topics do you cover?
Well, genre-based, so love story, horror movie, comedy.
Fantastic. Our second to last day has come to a close. The final interview done. Time to relax, pack. Tomorrow we're out into the field to visit some farms. And then this great 2-week adventure will be done, and the scripting and the editing can begin.
My name is Fran Dörflinger. I was born in Germany, and to describe me in a few words, I'm a German married to an Indian with a Canadian passport, living in Australia, working for a New Zealand company in Southeast Asia.
Fran is reasonably new to plant and food and to development work. She's based in Adelaide, South Australia, but today she came with us on a 3-hour drive to a small farm in Takeo province, southeast of the capital. It's very hot. As we take refuge in the shade, I ask Fran to summarise her project and offer advice for anyone thinking about development work.
Cambodia quality horticulture is really about increasing the value chain for vegetables and producing safe vegetables from the farm all the way to the consumer. So we're working with farmers, distributors, and some of them even have their own supermarkets, and others deliver to big chain supermarkets as well as specialty shops. Definitely keep an open mind, take it with humor and a grain of salt. Don't get frustrated if things don't work right away, or if you take a step back every time you come to country. Just stay open-minded and definitely don't give up.
Through a translator, I chat with Ganaine Vuthi, a plant expert in her early 30s who's on the front line of a global campaign for better agriculture. A research agronomist with a BSc, she has a catchy job title, GAP Champion. What's GAP? It's short for Good Agricultural Practices, a set of international standards that helps farmers improve the safety, quality and quantity of produce. Plus, it protects the environment and the health and safety of workers. I love my work, she says. I visit farmers and share all I know so they achieve a better yield for crops like eggplant, tomato, beans, bok choy and cucumber. In recent years, Ganaine has received expert training from New Zealand scientists on topics such as the correct use of fungicides and fertilisers and how to share her knowledge well. GAP is not easy to achieve, she says. Sometimes a farmer might not continue to follow our training after we leave. To win them over, I build the relationship. We share a meal and meet several times. Some farmers have become friends. We meet our last farmer for this trip, 25-year-old Sim Sokon. Smart horticultural tips have made a world of difference to his small family plot, where he grows cucumbers, gourds and morning glory. Crop yield is up an amazing 7-fold. Everyone in the family has enjoyed seeing the farm transformed, he says. We can buy better quality food and invest in the farm. We've started paying back debt and we'll have this done in 8 months. Sim has a beautiful voice. His favourite artist is Sin Sisamuth, an influential Cambodian singer-songwriter from the 1950s to the 70s. Hailed as the king of Khmer music, Sisamuth was said to have the voice of Nat King Cole and the stage presence of Frank Sinatra. Sim recently won 2 regional singing competitions, bringing home $40, a rice cooker and an electric fan. He graciously agrees to sing an excerpt of a Sisamuth ballad. It's a soldier's lament for a lost love. Closing his eyes, the young farmer delivers 40 seconds that will live long in the memory.
Knyom chia yut chun srei klien ban kun ai bo pha dang tien doi smong.
That completes this travelogue from Vietnam and Cambodia. Thanks for coming along for the ride. In the next episode, I look at the impact of the pandemic on the work of New Zealand development agencies, in conversation with Susie Newman and the Executive Director of the Council for International Development, Josie Pagani. This podcast series complements the From This Land photo exhibition, an art project by the New Zealand Science Institute, Plant and Food Research. Technical support from Martin Heffer, original music by Miller Yule, voiced and produced by Phil Johnstone. Special thanks to Susie Newman, Wara Bulow and Roger Bourne. To view the exhibition online and see its latest touring schedule, go to fromthisland.co.nz.